Hey everyone, over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about worldviews and the power that they have on influencing our interpretation of the evidence. We talked about truth, and not just looking at things on the surface, but that we have to dig in and look closely at the evidence. That's why I gave you the ruler and the Rolex watch illustrations. I hope these help you when you're confronted with alternative explanations for what we see in the world around us. And we've also talked about the two different types of science so that we can understand what someone means when they tell us that science is proven. With that foundation in place, let's start looking at actual headlines from secular sources and critically evaluate what we're being told. So let's get critical. Bigger brains in human ancestors. That's an actual headline. Well, that settles it then. We might as well call it a class and embrace what we've been told, that we've evolved, and just go home. Hold on. I'm going to challenge you to not just read the headlines. We've got to look deeper. We've got to become a beef inspector. I can hear you. You're saying a beef inspector? What does that mean? Thanks for asking. It's really quite simple. I'm going to give you a simple tool so the next time you see amazing headlines, pictures, videos, whatever, telling you that evolution is a fact and Christianity isn't true, think of Wendys. What? That's right, think of Wendys. And ask a simple question.
Yes, we know it's a big fluffy bun.
Talk to the manager.
It is the manager.
Where's the beef?
You get it? Don't listen to the hype or settle for headlines. Look at the actual evidence to support the claims. Look for the beef. So what is the beef to back up the huge claim that the headline makes as a dogmatic statement of fact that our ancestor had bigger brains? Before we see this, what questions should we be asking? How about, what evidence would prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that our ancestor had a bigger brain? That's a really good question. It's quiz time. Let me give you some options. What would prove it? 1, a fossilized brain. 2, fossilized college transcript. 3, fossilized skull. 4, fossilized hips. 5, none of the above. Let's now read the subtitle to see what the actual evidence is. Researchers discover a 1.2 million year old female pelvis that holds the key to brain evolution. Okay. So if I read this correctly, the evidence that supports the supposed fact that our ancestor had bigger brains is there. How do I say this and not get in trouble? Let me just put it out there, okay? You're telling me we can tell brain size because of behind size? I mean, isn't that like the wrong end of the animal? Now, I've been challenged on this, so let me address that challenge. Yes, the shape of the female pelvis could allow a child with a larger skull to be born. There is no doubt about that, that's true. But there are some key words in that sentence. Could allow. Yes, it would make it possible, but it does not prove that females did have children with larger brains. The headline is written as a dogmatic statement of fact. The actual article doesn't support the claim. This is an important point to remember. Typically, the people who write the headlines are not the same people who write the actual article. There are people that write the headlines in order to make us buy the publications. You can't just read the headlines. You've got to read deeper. You've got to look at the actual evidence. Read deeper. The story of evolution got bigger last week when researchers revealed in the Journal of Science that they had discovered a wide-hipped pelvis, suggesting our ancestors were larger brained than formerly thought. The first of its kind, the 1.2 million year old nearly complete female pelvis is from the now extinct Homo erectus species, believed to be our first human-like relatives to leave Africa. Did you catch any keywords? Story of evolution? Suggesting? Believed? I thought they had proven that our ancestor had bigger brains. Let's keep reading. It gets worse. Previously, researchers postulated Homo erectus females had narrower hips, consequently making it harder for them to give birth to larger brain babies. Scientists believed this explained how humans evolved to have long childhoods, since smaller brain children would be more dependent on their mother. But this assumption was mainly based on the small pelvis dimension of Turkana, a 1.5 million year old tall young male of the same species found in Kenya in 1984, believed to be more than 6 feet tall. Turkana led scientists to theorize that early humans were taller and narrower hipped to help them maintain a constant body temperature. Did you catch any keywords? Postulated, believed, assumption, believed, theorize. All of those words mean something very specific, and that is, they don't know. For your information, we'll be dealing with Homo erectus in a later class. One last point, don't just read the article, go read the sources that they cite and read a variety of writers on the topic that you're looking into. By the way, even if this were true and the children had larger brains, does that mean that they were smarter? Does the size of the brain determine intelligence? The answer is, you get to research that question. That's right. So, the take home for this class is that you've got to become a beef inspector. Do not take things for granted. Dig in and study for yourself to see if the pictures and the videos that we see all around us are depicting evolution as a fact is supported by the actual evidence that we can see, not what someone thinks about the evidence. Let us know what is making sense and what we can do better. We'll see you next time, but until then, stay bold.